40 years of drinking, Jesus, I only drank at the end of my 30-year strain, and I only really drank heavily for 10 of those years. I was fucked. So this guy, he says, I'm repenting for the alcoholic mess I've done 43 years, disheartening my whole family. I cannot get back to what it was. It's a disgrace to be an alcoholic. We're given life to choose what is good and leave the bad and ugly. Try to save yourself from the demon are his last words. You know, I don't know how old you are, but 43 years, that's a long time. Now, like I said, you know, in the end of what I was drinking, when I was drinking, I suppose the last 10, 15 years of that were the heaviest, you know. When you're younger, you know, it's easy to see how you get into this. You get into it early, and there's, you know, the people that are around you, they're young, they're very persuasive, you're not very knowledgeable, you know, a lot of peer pressure, and, you know, the consequences don't matter that much because you get over it. You've got a young body, you get over it quickly. So you don't see it, and then, you know, the consequences are part and parcel of the battle that you're going through, or the battle that you're going through to get into adulthood, right? It's seen as being something of, you know, if you can handle it, then you're a man, that kind of thing. At the back end of that, you know, that 30 years, I remember a guy saying to me, how many pints did you drink last night? And I'd say, yeah, 10. And he'd be going, oh, jeez, I was only getting started then. And you could see it in this guy, you know. You could see that he was a regular, heavy drinker. He was really overweight. Everything about him said it, you know, his face, the bloating, his eyes, everything. You know, the guy eventually stopped drinking alcohol. He was a friend of mine. He was a work colleague. So I was glad, but he wasn't that much older than me, but he looked 20 years older than me. He was maybe half of that, if anything. So, you know, a disgrace to be an alcoholic. You know, I don't like the word alcoholic, but I get where this guy's coming from. You know, it's a way of expressing his own disappointment in himself, his own fall from grace, that disgrace, his disgrace, you know. As he says himself, you know, it's a disgrace to be an alcoholic. He's saying it's a disgrace to be in this way. It's a disgrace to put yourself in that position. It's a disgrace to do that to yourself and to inflict that person on the people around you. You know, when, you know, there's always a saying, if you want to see change in the world, you have to start with yourself. If you want to see honor in the world, you have to be an honorable person yourself. You have to start with yourself, right? You know, everyone knows that, everyone understands that on a deep level. You know, not everyone follows that. Most people don't. So, you know, he sees it as a demon, and I imagine that there's a bit windy out this morning. You know, he sees it as a demon, and I imagine that at this stage of his life, that's what he sees his life as. It's demonic. He sees the alcohol as being demonic because of the consequences of what's happened to him, of how he's allowed himself to be taken over by the habit. You know, the real culprit is always inside yourself. We know there's no demon in it. You know, it's just a liquid in a bottle. It cannot get inside your body unless you put it there. He knows it's not really a demon. You know, he knows where the real culprit lies himself. He says it himself in the comment. He says, we are given life to choose what's good and to leave the bad and the ugly. So he understands it's a choice. The wrong choices certainly lead you down some paths that can have the appearance of being demonic or have the appearance of being evil. But that's the choice in life you've got. Everybody's got choices. Everyone's got the choices that they make. But then there is also a trade-off to that. You know, there is the consequences of your choices. And generally, if you have bad consequences, then you either turn those consequences around and learn by them, or you don't, you double down. And most people double down, especially when it's something like this, because you can pour more of the alcohol down and hide from the choices that you've made, hide to a certain degree from the trade-offs that you've got. That's the freedom in life. That's the freedom to choose, right? You make a decision and you have to live by the decision that you've made. What happens next because you've made that decision. There's so many people on this planet now who are looking to blame somebody else, who are looking to who want somebody else to look after them instead of them looking after themselves, who want somebody else to be responsible for them instead of being responsible for themselves. And like I said, if you want the world to be a better place, you've got to start with yourself. You've got to start working on yourself. The world is made up of individuals. Governments can never do this for you because governments are made up of individuals. And if you've got collective individuals that are looking after their interests, which anybody who works for the government is interested in keeping their job, right? I don't want this to get into a political thing, but you know what I mean. It's across the political lines. It's not a political thing. There's same thing with the hospitals. I love, without the medical profession, we'd be fucked. But there is, when you've got 80% of people going into hospital that are there because of the causes, because they've caused it to themselves, lifestyle choices. And if you close that down overnight, if you fix that overnight, if people fix their problems overnight, then that means that 80% of those jobs will be gone. There is an incentive for those people to keep the problems going, even subconsciously. Do you get what I mean? So anyway, I've often seen myself as a drinker in that same Jekyll and Hyde mode, that same, this fucking demon comes out of me when I'm drinking. Not in the sense that I did anything, that I've done anything evil or I'm thinking anything evil. There, but for the grace of God go I, as they say in Ireland, right? But more, the Mr. Hyde in me was more of a jackass, a dumbass, I think alcohol makes us all dumbasses. It doesn't give you intelligence anyway. Most of the stupid part of this is that we ignore the consequences. We say to ourselves, it won't happen to me, this is not going to happen to me. And maybe one thing won't happen to you. Maybe you won't get psychic heart syndrome or wet brain or cirrhosis of the liver. Maybe that kind of stuff will never happen to you. But there's not one drinker who's not negatively affected in one way or another, even when you're younger, right? You're negatively affected, even if it's just in terms of time and energy, what you're spending your time and energy on, what you could have been doing with your time and energy. And that regret it's fucking palpable. We all have it. Sometimes it can become so overpowering, so great in ourselves that it becomes a prison in its own right, of our own making. But again, it is of our own making. We choose to do that. It's part of the thinking. So nothing we can do about yesterday. You can change. Anybody can change. You're never too old to change. Even after 43 years of drinking, you're still not too old to change. You might need to get some medical attention before you can stop. You definitely probably need to cut down, to taper down. But, message to anyone wanting to quit, never too late to quit, right? To live a sober life, to try and live a full life with the years that you've got left, I was talking about regaining honor, regaining personally. One of the things that I discovered in myself was that I was regaining that honor in myself, that dignity, becoming more integrated in myself. And these things rely on what you do now, not what you did yesterday. The choices that you make now, the decisions that you take now, the discomfort that you're willing to put up with now. How you invest your time and energy now. We've all got skeletons in the closet, right? We've all got these things in our past that we can moan and cry about. But what's that going to do for you? Nothing. Life is about having those regrets, those skeletons, and living your life as best as you can from now on, despite those things, using the experience that you've got. Wisdom is earned in life, that living a good life is earned. It's not given to you. You know, it's not. You're not entitled to it. You know, but it is what it is. Look, we're all human. So look, I wish you the best. I hope you find the strength. I hope you find some honor in yourself in the moment, for yourself, and for your life. You know, for the life that you've got left. If you're looking for some serious and positive help, habitsv2.com. Take care of yourself. Onwards and upwards, eh? Bye now.